What's up guys, it's Weds with a video on Lost Ark. Lost Ark is here. It's a very popular MMO ARPG that's been in Korea and Russia. Now it comes to the United States and Europe. So it's time for you to play some Lost Ark. Now it is a PC game, and for those of you that are console players like myself, so if you are interested in playing the game with a controller, I will show you how to do that with the best setup for you. Let's do it. Alright guys, like I said, you can play with a controller. Every gameplay that you see in this video, I've been playing with a controller. The game came out about a couple days ago. It's an early access and it will be fully launched on the 11th of February 2022, and everybody can play. So if you want to jump in the game and play with your controller, then just plug in your computer to your PC, hook it up, and you should be good to go. But to make sure that you are good to go, for some controllers it may not work right away, but if you go to the game and go to the escape button and then go to the settings, and then there you go to gamepad and then the control, and then make sure that where it says use gamepad, that is checked. If that is checked, then you should be good to go. Now, the game is very Xbox controller friendly, but that doesn't mean that you need to have an Xbox controller. You can play the game from a controller that you buy from the dollar shop and you should be good to go. The developers made it so easy for everybody to play with the controller because they know not everybody play PC game and not everybody like keyboard and mouse, so it is good to go. Now, if your controller does not work right away, there are some workaround that you need to do. So if you are playing on Steam, then just go and open up your Steam account and then go to Steam, go to settings, and then here down there where it says controller, you have all the options. You can go to the general controller settings, and there you can check whatever controller you are using. If it's a PlayStation controller, if it's a generic controller like the one you buy from the dollar shop, then just take it from there and you should be good to go. So if you need more help about setting it up on Steam, there are a lot of videos on YouTube. But if you want me to make a separate video on that, and I can do that, to just let me know in the comment and I will do that for you guys. So we're not here for that today. So we are here to just set up an Xbox controller because the game is very Xbox controller friendly. So if you are an Xbox guy, what you need to do, you need to just go Google. Let me bring over the internet on this monitor. So all you need to do, just Google Microsoft Store, and then once you get there, go into the Microsoft Store app, and then while you're there, just do a search for accessory app, and that's the app for Microsoft, the same one you use for Xbox console. It's the same thing in this. Now, since I have that already installed on my computer, I can just go look for it and then pull it up. And then as long as my controller is already set up, already hooked up to my computer, then it will show up. It will show up right here. But in the event you don't know how to hook up your Microsoft Xbox Elite controller to your PC, let me show you how to do this real quick. I'm just gonna go do that real fast. And that way, if someone doesn't know, then they know how to do it. Just go to add a Bluetooth device on your computer. And then once you get there, now it should be easier if you plug your controller with the wire, then it'll go the faster. But if you're gonna use the Bluetooth dongle that you can buy in the store for Microsoft wireless controller, then you just go in there and just add a Bluetooth device, and that's how you add the controller on your computer. Now we got that out of the way, so let's go back to the page where you need to set up your controller. That's a very default setting that you do for your Xbox Elite, or whether it's the Elite Series 1 or Elite Series 2, then you should be good to go. But like I said, you don't need an expensive controller. You can use any controller that you buy from the dollar shop and you should be good to go. But since I have the Elite 2 series controller, then I'm gonna use that to show you guys how to set it up real quick for your computer. So once you pull it up, you get all that stuff here. You can see the wireless controller is the computer already recognizes because you do all that setup. Then you go to the configure. Here you can add a new profile, or you can use one you already have. Now, since I already have one, I already create one, I'm not gonna add one, so I'm just gonna use the one that I already have. For me, I am using the first slot, and so that's what we're gonna work on. And I'm gonna show you how I already set it up. So what you need to do next is just click on the pencil picture, and then you see all this setup right here that you can do, change mapping the controller. Now there are a lot of stuff that you can do with the computer. Just the left stick, you can just do that. For me, I put instant on there. I'm not gonna go too deep with that because there are a lot of videos about that. And then for the right stick, I also do instant. You just mess around with those things. Now for a lot of people that play first person shooter, they always interested about the trigger, how to set it up. For me, I always set it up like this. You know, I just got the little 2 mark here because the way you do this, if you're gonna use the trigger, just make sure you use the mirror thing, and then whatever you use one of the slider, it'll work for both trigger, but the left and right trigger. So me, I set mine up to about 1, but this is not very important for Lost Ark, but I figured I would do that anyway because if you're gonna play other games on your computer, then I'm showing you how to do this and you should be good to go. Now you can take care of the vibration. You know, I leave mine off, all the way off, and then you can take care of the brightness so that way you can see this is as bright as possible that you want. So let's go back to the mapping, which is why you are here. So what I'm gonna do right here, pretty much everything here is gonna be on default. That way when I play Lost Ark, and then it's already set up for that. But the only thing I am going to change here are the paddles. Now you do not have to do this if you don't want to, but I'm showing you how to do this because when we go map the buttons in game for the Lost Ark, this is gonna come very handy. So this is what we're going to do. For the paddles, I'm just gonna set all the paddles to the D-pad option. So I'm just gonna go here, and then I'm gonna change this one to a D-pad down, and then you should be good to go. So I already set everything to D-pad up, down, left, and right, and then I leave it as is, and we are good to go. So that's all we have to do for the Xbox Elite controller. And now we are going back in game in Lost Ark, and then we can set up our controller the way we want it so we can play the game as good as we want. So I'm gonna go and play the game. I'm gonna show you everything that I'm doing with the controller. Everything that I'm doing here, it is with the controller. So you know, all the buttons are already set up the way I set them up. You know, makes it easy. And if you look down here, you can see that I already remapped my buttons to be the way that I like them. But naturally, when you first plug in your computer, if you're gonna play, you're gonna see it's gonna be some Xbox buttons set up like left bumper plus A and stuff like that. But I can remap them to be the way that I want them. This is what I'm going to show you so you can get the best setup that will work for you. So the way you do this, like I showed you to go to escape before, and then you bring out the menu. And once you bring the game menu, and then you go to settings. And once you get to settings, and then you go to the gamepad, and then you go to control. Now, as you can see, these are all the settings that you have. Like I said, when you first come, you have a lot of combination in the beginning, like LB plus A, LB plus X, etc., etc. But I switch all those to the AXBY, and then you can do that yourself to whatever button you want to remap the controller for. For me, those are the ones that are more comfortable for me, so that's what I use. But you can use whatever you want. So the way you do that, you just click on one of those buttons, and then you press the button that you want to switch it to on the controller. Like for instance, if I want to switch this to another button, I'm gonna press another button, like say I'm gonna press A for instance, and then it's gonna ask me, do I want to change it? I'm gonna say, yeah, man, I want to. And then it does that. So now I change it to this. Now, since I already don't make the changes, I don't wanna do that. So I'm just gonna cancel, and I'm gonna go back to my setup. That way I don't mess it up, because once you get it comfortable for you, there's no reason for you to mess around with it. So I go back to my setup the way that I have it, and I am good to go. So you can go and change all the buttons to make sure once you do the changes that you make, so you can just go, you're gonna see that some of the buttons gonna become empty because you changed some stuff around. And then you can just go back and remap some of the buttons. That way you can use the way you want to. So you also have sailing, you have other, and then it's got all these combination buttons. You can change those. I have not changed any of those things because I'm not far in the game yet, so I left them as is. But eventually, if I feel like they're not comfortable for me, I can switch them to something else, and that way I can play the game the way that I want to. So those are all the options that you have to change the buttons the way you want to. Even in the sailing is all right. That's the way it is. So I set it up that way because originally it was like A, X, B, whatever. So I switch them to those because I already used those buttons for something else. And the combat part is the one that is most interesting because that's the one you want to slash and clash and whatever you want to do to the enemies. And you want to make it as easy as possible for you. So I don't want to say, okay, just follow this example right here because, you know, what's comfortable for me may not be comfortable for you. So I'm going to leave it the way it is, and then you can just go ahead and do whatever you want, just mess around with it, and you should be good to go. This is very simple to do. You're gonna be enjoying the game with the way you set it up for you, not what somebody else tell you to set up. Or you can just leave it just like the developers meant for it to be, and then you just have to just learn how to mess around with the buttons, see what works for you, and you should be good to go. Anyway guys, that's all we have about setting up the controller to play Lost Ark. It is as easy as you see it, and I think you're gonna be doing fine, and you're gonna be enjoying the game, not worrying about playing with keyboard and mouse. Although, you know, sometimes you can use the mouse to do whatever because it's okay to do what you want to do. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully this was helpful. I will see you guys later.